This will be the kind of ultimate guide to how to record on YouTube. There's going to be three things. I'm going to show you Dxtory, how you should use it, well, the settings and the configuration. You can copy it if you want to. OBS, and on the third, I would say section or third segment of the video, I'll show you why you should use Dxtory for what purpose, and same thing with OBS. There seems to be a couple of videos that lacks a lot of information and or people that want information regarding these applications. I thought of doing this together because that's the two applications I use almost every day, including Audacity and Sony Vegas. But Sony Vegas, it could be something else. So let's start really quick here. This will be short, fast, and thorough. I'm not going to talk a lot about the codec, but this I could do a video alone. So yeah, on the ignore settings, the only thing you should do here is click on ignore settings, set up OBS in the ignore settings. You don't want to hook OBS in because it can be problematic. The second one here is mostly what you see on the screen. Like for example, movie frame capture, that's what you're going to capture. The rest is your video FPS if you want to show it, and when you record. So when you record, I set it to red when it records, and when it doesn't record, it's just like green. But that's entirely up to your preference if you want to use it or not. Then you got your folder settings. This has something to do with the AVI, if you want to do a file output, which means record and then there's a video file, or if you want to use raw cap. The raw cap format uses it's more performance for Dxtory and less usage for your CPU and hard drive. I would say your hard drive, but you need more than one hard drive, like 2 hard drives, and it needs to be separate. Which, like, if you play your games on a certain hard drive, don't record on the same hard drive. That's not going to work, and it's probably going to be choppy. You're going to have a lot of problems. Usually above 80 megabyte per second is usually good. Screenshot, set it wherever you want. I don't care. Hotkeys. That's really special because for me, I don't know why people use numbers. They use shift and... You know what? Use the numpad. I never use it. I don't care about that one. Use it. I use everything in here. As you can see here, 7, 0, 1, 2, 3. I can set up my thing really fast. If I have, I don't know, some kind of mini-map on the upper right, okay, fine. The status position, I press 1 a couple of times to move it around. Boom, that's it. No one sees it. It's just me here. Movie setting. Tab. There's multiple codecs. You know what? If you want hassle-free kind of thing, you're not really sure what to use or whatever, use Dxtory video codec. It's fine. It's good enough for everything. If you click on the little pen here on the side, the format will give you the quality. Try with medium. See if it works correctly. If the game doesn't stutter, doesn't slow down, or don't have problems. If so, go ahead with high and go ahead with true quality. But be warned though, the higher the resolution and the higher the frame rate and the higher the quality here, the higher the file size. So you may want to play with that. What do you want? Awesome quality, big file size, as in probably gigabytes. Well, I'm not sure about the Dxtory video codec, but inside like Labyrinth lossless, which is like frame by frame kind of thing, yeah, you might have like hundreds of gigabytes for 20 minutes or so. That is totally normal. It's huge. Awesome quality as well. So you might want to mess with that. Compress. It's going to use some CPU. That's entirely up to you with this one. Again, higher file size. But compress doesn't use a lot of file size. Clipping and margin, honestly, when I record in 1080p, I like to set it to 1080p. I use the native resolution of the game, that's it. So I don't even mess with that, but the controls are there. Things in my head would be, I don't know, like the game Risk of Rain, for example. It sets it up on the upper left side, but I haven't messed with that game like in a while for the recording. You may want to use the width and height for the clip size. So yeah, you might want to mess with that, but usually don't even use it. You don't need it. Frame rate, I think it's obvious. What do you want to record your game in? 60 frames a second or 30 frames a second? If you play all of the Ubisoft games, use 30 FPS. Yeah, that might be like an intentional pun, but You get the drift. If you play a game that has 30 FPS, unfortunately there are some on PC games, use 30 FPS. Lower file size as well. Yeah. Output. You got two different configurations here. You can use file output, like it says here in AVI, for example. It's going to set up your file in AVI format, and then it's going to dump it on your hard drive. Plain and simple. Direct show output. That's going to be used if you want to use Dxtory game capture, which means you're in, like, I don't know, you're in Grand Theft Auto 5. It's going to capture that as a device. And as you can see here, it's going to capture it as a device. So you can use OBS. You set it up to capture this as a video capture, like you go and add video capture device. You set it up for Dxtory Video Capture 1, and that's it. That's less of a hassle. I'll get on that in OBS later. Video settings. Output 1 may be 1080p. Another game may use 720p. I don't know. Really old games might use 640 by something something. And you want to set up your resolution for 30 frames, for example, for whatever reason. Or you may want to use other tabs for, like the two of them might be 60 frames a second. The other one may be 30 frames or whatever. That's entirely up to your choice. Those are the basic settings. I'm not going to go with anything else here. If you want to use direct show output or file format, you want to use, instead of AVI, raw cap. And what is it? You need more than one hard drive for raw cap. The point in this is, if you have trouble using AVI for whatever reason, when you capture your game, it stutters, it slows down, or you see that the file just, I know it's not the correct term, but you're going to understand what I mean, it lags. You may want to use raw cap, but you need more than one hard drive. Or it's possible that you use, you play your game on your hard drive number 1, and you capture it on number 1. You may want to change that. That might fix it. And if you want to have, like, for example, more performance out of Dxtory, which means you want to play your game and capture it and have no problem at all, no stutter, use raw cap. So you go in folder, you set up each hard drive with its own folder. You do a write speed, you add them up together. Well, you do a little addition here with your write speed number, and it's going to give you the total write speed that it's going to use. After you've done that, there's some kind of web page out there on the internet that says raw cap write speed number or something like that. It's going to tell you in, I don't know, 1080p, 60 frames a second, this is how much, and this is how much write speed you need for that quality of video codec, and so on and so on. Like medium, it could be like on true quality 1080p 60 frames a second, that might be, I don't know, like 380 megabyte second write speed. Medium quality for the video codec, 1080p 30 frames a second might be, I don't know, 200. I'm just giving out numbers here. That might not be the correct numbers. You need 200 megabyte kind of write speed, so you get the drift. Just add all the folders together, do the multiplications, well, the addition of the numbers, and that's it. Nothing else. Usually I set up for direct show, AVI, I go in OBS, I use my hotkeys. The dot, as you saw, first of all, I record it. I use the Dxtory to start the capture in a direct show output format. Then I go in OBS, I press plus, boom, that's it. No hassle. Trust me on that one. I'll get over that one later. Synchronize video FPS, I don't mess with that. Include overlay, I don't need one. I don't need the overlay to include it. Mouse cursor, that's entirely up to you. I use the native resolution for scaling. I just keep it at 100%. I have no need to do anything other than that. For the video codec, like I said earlier, if you want to use something of a less hassle, you don't know what to use exactly, you don't want to mess with the codec, use the Dxtory video codec. It's good enough for everything. Trust me on that. Compared to X264 and Lagareth Lossless, it is good. There are differences here and there. You may want to mess with it. Like, do this. Go ahead with medium quality. Play with your game for a couple of seconds. Go in true quality. Play again for a couple of seconds. Do comparison. There's barely a difference. I personally like to use UT video because it uses less overhead. So more performance for the game and less problems for Dxtory. You use this, you go in there with a little pen, same as number of logical processors. I use it for decoding speed for optimization, and that's it. That's what I use. This is lossless, by the way, so expect your file size to be freaking big, like really, really big. That's normal. You just go in Sony Vegas or any other program and you just render it. It's going to be lower in any case. Sorry about that. X264 VFW. I personally use that because I want a lower file size and I compress it on the fly, for example. Those settings that you see here work perfectly for me. I don't use virtual dub, so I don't even use this. But usually a preset of ultra fast, tuning to none, profile high 10, level 4.1. 4.1 seems to work with everything. Profile i10, I don't know why, but if I don't set it to profile i10 in OBS for whatever reason, maybe it's the way OBS multi-platform works, it doesn't work correctly. It changes it. And I don't like it when it changes. Zero latency and fast decode, just leave it there to know what it is. Do it yourself. Usually those settings works perfectly for me. For the rate control, let's say this is the quality of your video. 18 seems to work fine for me. Good file size, good quality. Awesome quality, I might say. You may want to put it to a lower number, but just tell yourself that you're going to get a higher file size. So what do you want? Higher file size, awesome quality, or lower file size and shitty quality? Entirely up to you. Output for VFW and and H264, capital H, seems to work for me. And tac key int space 1. That seems to work for me as well. I'll be honest with this one here, I don't even remember what this one is, but I need that. If I remember right, a couple of videos that I recorded seem to have some kind of pixelated kind of thing going on for a couple of seconds. When I use this, I don't have this, so quality is top shape. Disable all CPU optimizations. Of course, you don't want to do that, and like it says, instead, unless you want to debug something, you know. Disable decoder? No, don't do that. So, yeah, lossless, go ahead and UT video if you have the space, and if you want to. If not, 264 will be fine. Yeah, compared to XVID MPEG-4 codec, I don't even use that one for whatever reason. The screen, it's good, but I need some brightness filter in Sony Vegas. I still use the brightness filter. I want people to see what I see, what I want to see clearly. But in MPEG-4, it's worse for whatever reason. It records it fine. It's a bit more dark. Now, that was the first segment. Second segment is OBS. In this one here, you can set up multiple scenes and set up your sources. I use a couple of them, like local recording. I'm not going to click on, you know what, let me use this one here, the Open Broadcast software. This is OBS multi-platform. The main difference between those two is the audio codec. I mean, not the audio codec, but the audio tracks. With OBS here, whatever I use, game audio, Skype if I have a friend that talks to me, for example, or TeamSpeak, whatever, and I got my own voice, all going to be recorded in one audio track. Try to split them up, it's impossible. Impossible to do. And what if your game is high, like your game audio is freaking high and your voice is low? Good luck with that. You can't change it. You have to restart all over again. That's why I use OBS multi-platform. But just to give you the layout, it's really simple. The basic is the scene and the sources. For example, my gaming news format I do is I capture the whole monitor, and I use my webcam on the upper right, and I use my little border here that you can see. Very simple border here that I did with, I think it's with GIMP. Yeah, it's with GIMP that I did it. But for OBS multi-platform, I'll go over here in settings, and you can use different ones. Yeah, before I go there, for example, the game with the Dxtory. Do I have Dxtory? Yes, I do have Dxtory. The main reason for this is, well, I use Dxtory and I got local games, which means, yeah, this is not set up correctly, but usually local game is supposed to be the name of the game. Like I go and add game capture, I type the name, like GTA 5 for example. In here in application, I'm supposed to see the name of the game here. I do that. And it's going to be tedious after a moment because I have a lot of games on my computer. So if I want to play with like Mafia 2, I go on ahead, game capture, Mafia 2. I set up for Mafia. I select Mafia 2 when it's open. I go on and set up that. And I do that for every game. So if I want to capture another one, for example, GTA 5. It's not the right application, but who cares? That's not the point. And if I want to capture Mafia 2, for example, with my webcam, I just got to set it up like that. If I want to capture GTA 5, I got to go all through the list, unselect everything, select GTA, select my webcam, and that's it. It can be tedious after a moment. I use the Dxtory direct show output for that, for less hassle for me. Gaming news format, I use like a border webcam, like the image that you see around my webcam. I use the webcam itself and the monitor. Couple of scenes that I can switch on the fly. You got some shortcuts that you can do to switch it on the fly. For example, profile settings, you go in settings here. Scene switcher, you can set it up here, for example. Same thing in OBS multi-platform. You can record, preview the stream if you want to, so on and so on. I don't have a preview stream here, which is kind of bad, but in any case. The settings for OBS, it's kind of the same as in the Dxtory, or the same principle. For general, personal preference, stream, not the point of this video. Output, I go in output, recording. That's what I want to do. Record a game, set it up on, just put it as a AVI file on my computer, and boom, that's it. Recording path, not the same as your game. It has to be something different. You're going to get more performance and less problems. Recording format, MP4. I use MP4 because I can use multiple audio tracks. That's the reason why. If you use like the normal one, FLV something, it's not going to work correctly. Audio track, personally, I use 2. You may want to use 3 if you want to. For example, if you have, I think it's VAC, video, audio, something. It allows you to put a application and use it as a video device. I don't use it because you gotta pay and there's no demo or something. So, for example, audio track 1 might be your game, audio track 2 might be your voice, and audio track 3 may be TeamSpeak, for example. So if you want to play with a game like Space Engineer or something, or Minecraft, for example, you got your friends that you talk to in TeamSpeak or Skype, use VAC, set it up on audio track 3 or whatever, and it's going to be fine. Then inside Sony Vegas, you can play with those settings a bit, like, game voice. I mean, the voice, set it up to normal. You can output that to, you can make an audio and go in Audacity, just make some changes here and there. Reinsert it, like reinsert the worked file or the finished audio voice file inside Sony Vegas and render the whole thing as in a perfect audio, crystal clear audio kind of thing, including your game. You may want to lower the game sound a bit, for example, if you want to put more emphasis on your voice instead of the game. That might be a good thing. For the bitrate, I'll be honest, from 3500 to 5000, I haven't seen like a difference. I tried, but I can't. But for streaming, there might be some differences. So yeah, but for recording, 3500 to 5000. I don't know. I just use 5000 because it feels good. Use custom buffer size. I check that. I set it to 0 on both of them. I use CRF of 18. This has the same effect as this here. as the single pass rate factor based, like CRF 18, like I said previously. I'm not going to repeat myself. CPU usage, like it says, higher equal less CPU. Less CPU for ultra fast. For example, Grand Theft Auto 5, for me, if I set it to very fast, it stutters inside the game and the video itself. I use ultra fast. High profile, none on for the tune. Deselect variable frame rate, don't even use that. I don't need that. I'll be honest, Raytol, I don't remember what it is, but I know I use it because for the video quality it seems to be good. I haven't seen I can't remember, so I'm sorry about that, but that's what I use. For the audio, track 1, it's going to be my game audio sound, and track 2, that's going to be my voice audio bitrate of 192. I would say the trick here is the sample rate. Make sure it's the same for your game, which should be inside your game here. For your playback device, for example, I use my speakers. If I go on properties, go on, advance, 48,000 hertz. That's the default sample rate, the format. For your audio, for your recording device, make sure it's the same. It's really, really important. Advance 48,000 hertz. Make sure those are the same, because if not, it's not going to be the same. Like, there's going to be some desync issues. Something will happen in the game, and 3 seconds later, you're going to tell it. That pisses me off, and I just stop the video immediately. It's too annoying. In audio, like it says here, 48,000 hertz for the sample rate. That's good enough for me. For my desktop audio device, pretty obvious. That's my sound card where the speakers are. The mic audio device, I have it plugged to my USB port, so microphone Blue Snowball, that's what I have. Pretty good microphone for $60, I might say. Video, that's what I have here. Just use those settings, Direct 3D 11, 19, 20 by 1080p for my output resolution. If you want something different for whatever reason, change it there. Downscale filter, I use this one here, Landcross. I don't even use downscale filter, but if you have to use one, use this one. This is the better one. Common FPS value, pretty obvious. FPS, what you want to record with, 30 FPS or 60 FPS. It really depends on your game and your, I would say, at a certain point with your webcam, if you can record in 60 FPS. Hotkeys, numpad again, plus and minus. So again, I go in Dxtory, press on dot. After I'm done with that, I go in OBS. Well, I don't go in OBS, but I press plus. Do my own thing for 20 or 30 minutes or whatever, then I press minus to stop it. That's it. Seems to work perfectly. In advance, I haven't changed anything here, so that's what I use here. But if you use OBS, it's almost going to be the same thing like everywhere. Like, that's the normal OBS one. For encoding, X2264, I don't even use CBR 3500, quality of 10. Custom buffer, set it to 0. The audio codec, same thing. Format, 48,000 hertz, 192 for the bit rate. Broadcast, I don't use that. For the video, 1080p seems to be fine for me. I don't even use the downscale resolution. Video depth, I think it's pretty obvious. It's your video card. Audio device, same thing, pretty obvious. My microphone, my desktop audio, it's the same thing. Push to talk delay, I don't change those things, so set it to 200, 110. That's it. Hotkeys, same thing again, plus and minus. I don't use anything else. You might want to if you want to. For advanced, use multi-threaded options, set it to normal, nothing higher, really not that useful. For video, same thing as in OBS multi-platform. My CPU preset for X264, set it to ultra fast. For example, if I go in GTA 5, if I set it to very fast, it stutters. It doesn't work properly. I gotta use ultra fast. If you can do that, go ahead to very fast. That's usually the default one. High profile, key interval, set it to 0. CRF, I don't know why it's 15, it should be 18. Use CFR, I use this for the custom. And like default for the rest, nothing else is needed here. Quick sync encoder, I don't use that. But the microphone noise gate, you may want to use that. For example, if you got some humming noise like I have right now, but it should be fixed. I use like Audacity to fix it. Noise gate is the voice that when you start to speak, there's a certain decibel level that it's going to start, and when it gets too high, the microphone will shut off. That might be really useful if you want like some kind of crystal clear kind of thing, kind of audio. So you might want to use that. So at a certain decibel, it's going to activate. Usually, like it says here, 6 or 4 decibels above what you hear normally. So you just enabled the preview. You just look at the decibel, for example. I don't know if you're gonna see it. Oh yeah, you can see it here. You see, that's the default one. So you try to know what the I'll be honest, I don't know what it is exactly anymore. I think I had another application to know. Oh yeah. Usually 6 above. Microphone noise gate. Yeah, 6 above or something, minus 34, and the open threshold would be 45, if I said it right. No, wait a minute. Settings. Oh, I'm sorry for that. Yeah, 34 and 40 for me, that would be the best one. You might want to... It's not the best one, but usually you just go into help and look for that. That's an entirely different thing. What it does is that, like I said before, there's a certain point when it's going to open the microphone and close the microphone. You got to set this right properly. There might be some... You might want to do some settings. I use OBS platform, like I said before, for certain audio tracks. You might want to use OBS for whatever reason. I don't even use this one anymore. It does have a lot of features that OBS multi-platform doesn't have, but hey. So, third part of the segment is why do you want to use Dxtory and why do you want to use OBS for what reason? You usually use OBS because it's free or you don't want to pay for Dxtory. So, if you want to use a webcam, personally use OBS. It's free, it allows you to use the webcam. Dxtory doesn't allow you to use the webcam yet. I hope so. One day. There's been some requests, but who knows. And for example, certain types of videos I've seen on YouTube, for example, if you want to do some Let's Play, you may want to use Dxtory if you don't want to use a webcam. A lot of options, a lot of control, especially with the codec. If you use it already, go ahead. There's a lot of things like multiple audio device. Don't even use Frap. No point of using this this program or any other one. Dxtory is fine. If you don't want to use... If you want to stop piracy, use OBS. I'll be honest here. I use both, by the way. For example, if I do Let's Play, I use my webcam, as you can see on the top. I use OBS with Dxtory. I set it to direct show output. Set it to video 1, 1080p. Right here. If I use different settings, I'm going to use video 2 for whatever reason. I go on add. I just set up a scene. I go on video capture device. And just name it like that. Device video 1, 2, 3, and 4 or whatever. Everything else is by default. That's it. That's what I use. Also, you're going to see that here. If you use that method, for example, in Dxtory, make sure you don't record the voice. Because in OBS, it's going to record your voice. If you don't do that, in the end, when you preview the file, you're going to hear your voice on the second track 2 times with an echo. On your game voice, on the game sound, you're going to still hear your game, your voice, because in Dxtory, it records it. So if you use this method, make sure you don't record your voice on track 2. For me, I set it up on track 2, so I just disable it. And inside here, I don't change anything. That's what I do. And in the mixer, I set it up that way. I don't have video capture device. Really no point for me to do that. I set it up that way here. So the webcam, put on all tracks if you want to. Microphone, track 2. Desktop audio, track 1. So on track 2, I'm going to have my voice. And on track 1, I'm going to have my game sound. That's the way I use it. If you want to use like a game... some game footage. Not game footage, but news commentary, for example. I set it up in a way with like a border cam that you see here, my webcam, and the monitor itself. I use OBS for this. No point for using Dxtory for that. But for the game, OBS might be the thing to do if you want something free, or if you want more control and more performance. Honestly, just use Dxtory because you can use multiple audio codec and audio and video codec as well. A lot more control. If you want more performance, if you want more like beautiful quality, OBS is not. It's not that it's really beautiful quality, but it only uses the X264. That's it. But if you want lossless, you may want to mess with the CRF, but that might not be the way to go. There might be other settings that you want to use. You might want to use Lagareth lossless or YouTube video for your own personal reasons. What else here? Oh yeah, in OBS, for example, what I do, I'm not going to click on it. Yeah, I'm going to use this one instead here. For the no Dxtory local game, that's going to be, for example, if I want to capture my voice and Dxtory just for less hassle, because if I don't do that with no Dxtory, got to set up GTA 5 for the game capture. If I want to play with Mafia 2 for whatever reason, I do that. It's not the right application, but I should see Mafia 2 in the list. Once it's open, I do that. I do another one for, I don't know, Battlefield 4, whatever. Oops. Add game capture, Battlefield 4, for example. Same thing, application that should see Battlefield 4 when it's open. Here's the thing, if I want to record Battlefield 4, I unselect almost everything, I do that. If I want my webcam, I just activate that. It'll be a hassle if you have a long list of games. So instead, you may want to use that if you want to, because sometimes with Grand Theft Auto 5, because it uses a lot of my computer resources, I have to use it. I must not use it with Dxtory. I just use it locally with no Dxtory at all. I set it like this in multi-platform, for example. If not, I just use Dxtory with the game or with the webcam, whatever I want to do. I use OBS. It's fine if I want to use the like the webcam. But if I don't want hassle, with or without a webcam, I use OBS and Dxtory at the same time. It's perfect for me, less of a hassle. And at the same time, with the multi-platform, I'm only showing you the OBS one just for like the settings, but inside like OBS multi-platform, I can mess with the sound. That's what I do. I go inside Audacity, mess with the sound, I rework the audio. I go back in my Sony Vegas, I mix Sony Vegas with my video, my game sound, and my audio. I lower the sound for my game, for example, for whatever reason. For my personal reasons, for example, if I want to put more emphasis on my voice instead of the game, which might be a good idea if you want to do a Let's Play, for example, if that's the point of your video. Also, I see another thing going on sometimes. It's not that it's for example, I'm going to use this YouTube channel for, like for an example. If you do news commentary, for example, if you want to convey a message, it might be a good idea to use some screenshots, some images, or something that is not a video game. The reason is this. A lot of people seem to have some deficit attention problems. It's not a bad problem. I'm not going to attack. It's not an attack. It's not this. It's just that if you want to tell something and you want to display a video game in the background, that might not be the best thing to do. For example, extra credits uses some kind of animation with pictures going on. That's perfect. He uses that for the background video, and for the audio, that's it. That's his voice. That's all there needs to be. You might want to do this as well for news commentary, for example. Like you do this, you go on Games. That's what I usually do. I do this, I put up the web page, and boom. At that point, I just talk. I have my little webcam just for people to see my reaction, because I think it's a bit more personal kind of thing going on. That's my thing. I don't like to use the video game as a background, because they're gonna the attention of my voice will be less. I like to use more emphasis on my voice, so that's the kind of format I use. That might be a good idea if you want to do some news commentary, or if your voice or if your message is the #1 thing you want people to, I would say, to pick up. Because I see that a lot sometimes in certain video comments where people tell their thoughts or their opinions and they use a video game. That is really easy, way too easy to do. It's less time for the person. They can even reuse the same footage over and over and over and over and over and over again, and be really cheap and easy to do. I'm sorry it's not an attack, but man, what's his name now? Fuck, I don't even have it on my list because I don't use it anymore. Tech Review USA. That's his stuff. That's what he wants to do. Go ahead. I personally think it's really cheap to do, especially with the number of subs. He could kind of work a bit more, put more effort into it, but hey, it's his stuff. That's what he wants to do. I personally like this method. It works for me. You want to use animations, that's even better. Extra credits is good for that as well. So those are my opinions on the subject. What are yours? If I did help someone, perfectly happy for that. If you have more questions, comment section below. I'll be happy to answer them. I know I went really fast with the video codecs and the codecs and all. If there's anything you'd like to know, and like how should I use my OBS for a certain feature or for whatever reason, go ahead, put it there. I'm gonna help you with that. So again, see you later, guys.